Hi, my name is Monica and I am with BlitzBe, and we are interviewing Dr. Joan Tekula today. And Joan, would you just tell me just a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. So I'm a podiatric physician and I have been for 32 years. But I'm also a real dyed-in-the-wool entrepreneur. I think they call me a serial entrepreneur. I've always been, even as a child, I would think about things and I think, boy, no one else is doing that. Maybe I can create an industry. Maybe I can create the solution for that. And at some point in my career, I raised my children as a single mom, but at some point things freed up a little bit and I began to think I'm going to put some of these creative ideas to use. And I actually did begin a long series of entrepreneurial ventures.
Awesome. Awesome. So can you tell our viewers what it is that you're doing today?
So, I really want to give you the path just a little bit, just to tell you how I got there, is that my first entrepreneurial idea was, I worked as a podiatrist when I was in private practice with seniors. And, it's not a dignified thing, aging, and there's no celebration of it. There's no real support. There is support, but not in a loving sort of celebratory way. You got kids are us, dogs are us, and then you got the medical supply, take your catheter and go home and die, is how I always felt that people treated the elderly. And I thought, what an incredible thing to be 80, 90 and want to live at home. So my first business was called Thrive at Home, and I wanted to provide assistive technologies for seniors to age in their home. That was a lot of fun and it had potential, but unfortunately something very unexpected happened, as in an arsonist felt that I was a threat to their business. Then I opened the anti-aging spa. And then finally I became actually a technology scout for a company that commercializes inventions, which is what brought me to what I'm currently doing. And my goal was to find something in a laboratory that was really disruptive, could really have a huge impact on people's health. That was non-pharmaceutical, not invasive, because it's out there, and assist in the marketing of it, bringing it, the commercialization process is very lengthy and very expensive. But if it's worth it, it can be, have a huge impact and make a lot of money. And in my travels, I was introduced to a technology that was actually already market ready, but was everything I had been looking for. So in answer to your original question, I represent a product that is a true medical breakthrough. It was discovered in the early 2000s and addresses a core aspect of health. It's a completely natural product, and it's unique in that it's not a supplement like you would take iron if you were iron deficient, or folic acid, or if you were pregnant. It's more something that activates a system in the body that's dormant. So it's perfect is what it is. It's absolutely perfect. The body knows exactly how much of what you need and when, and to incorporate and recruit a system in the body is to say, let's restore you to the perfect state. And so it's a very exciting technology because it has such a huge impact. When you address and make all the cells in the body healthier, right, which is what this does, then you have a healthier person. And of course there's a business attached to it, which is, really, I'd say potentially very profitable. But again, every penny you make is made because you've helped somebody. So it's really an honor. It's much like what I do in medicine.
Awesome. I like that. Yeah, I can see that, your journey has taken you from one place to the next place to the next place. And so then you are where you are now, and you don't have any kids at home. So things are a little different now. And so now that you are looking back a little on where you were and where you are, what would you say the big dream is now?
My big dream is the same as it's been since I was a child, actually. I've always wanted to make a really big splash. I want to have a huge impact. I really want to change lives. And there was a little bit of a conflict going on in me throughout my life, so I kind of held myself back. But as I've grown and I made a huge impact on two people's lives for sure, the two I gave birth to, I accomplished that dream and I sent into the world two very competent and wonderful people. Very proud of that. I'm now taking the time to to do what it takes to really make my mark and leave my mark.
Awesome. That's so awesome. I love that. We all know that this has been a challenging year, 2020, with everything that's been going on in the pandemic and everything. And so I guess what I'm wondering is, with the pandemic or without the pandemic, what would you say are your most biggest challenges?
Ooh. Well, everything is different with the pandemic, of course. I mean, you don't even go food shopping. I went food shopping the other day. I got out of my car and I felt almost naked, and I realized I didn't have my mask on. It's just become it's a new accessory, right? Well, what was challenging is, as a physician, I work in a psychiatric hospital, and it's obviously the focus is on the psyche, not on the mental, on the physical rather, the medical. So for several months, I didn't work at all because they had to control the infection rate. So that was a bit challenging, to say the least, but it made my home-based business flourish, because I wasn't the only one that was stuck at home, and a lot of people were now jobless and looking for not only immediate revenue, but it struck a chord in most that they suddenly had the ugly awareness that there was really no security. And that's kind of been taken away from us in the world over time. I understand. I never worked in the corporate world, but I understand there was a time when you kind of got a job, you stay with them for 30 years, you got the watch, you retired, you had a pension, and you lived happily ever after. And that's kind of, no longer security anybody can depend on. And now even people that own businesses and felt that they'd own their lives so that they could take control of that, we're losing them. And, hopefully a pandemic will not occur again ever, but maybe in another 100 years, so we won't be around to suffer from it. But it's still, it's a PTSD sort of experience, I think, to have built yourself a safe haven, created a world where you generated an income that met your needs, and then to have that just snatched up from you overnight is very, very scary. So I think the challenges have been challenges and also benefits to those of us who were lucky enough. And I do recognize that I'm seeing this whole thing from my ivory tower, to adapt. So, and I am back at the hospital, and I have to wear the N95 and I gown and everything, and it's hot and it's uncomfortable and it's miserable and it's difficult to spread cheer, but patients need care, and there I am. And I'm the podiatrist, but they do have to walk, and the psychiatric community is a unique breed. They have a very unique set of needs, and they need to be met. So,
yeah. It has been a challenging time, and I hear you from all of it. So as we look at, I'm just listening to some of the things that you said about how things have changed in 2020, and now, jobs are shifting and people are doing different things than they used to be. And you actually shifted your job because you were stepping away from one and moving to another job. Do you see a lot of people finding more online jobs and moving to something online, teaching online, and having a whole online process?
Absolutely. Right after probably right after March 16th, 2020, that was the day of the big shutdown in Connecticut anyway. I don't know what it was in the rest of the country. But I know just about that time, those Google statistics on searches, those looking for home-based businesses just absolutely skyrocketed. It was a straight line up because people were home. People were home and they're resourceful, and most people didn't want to just roll over and play dead. And so, that's it was definitely an adaptation. And I think even now with, I think it's been the reality that people work better and they're more productive when they're happy, which is why if I owned a huge corporation, it would be the most successful one on the planet, because I would have like a Google environment, right? But that being said, I think that what people are learning is that they really enjoy working from home, and they are more productive. They're still accountable. They're getting the work done. They might be taking half the time to do it, but it doesn't matter. You shouldn't get paid by the hour. You should be paid based on your productivity. So I think there's going to be a shift to more people, more companies, even actually predominantly the larger ones that have the incredible overhead and there's more accountability there. They will probably be shifting to that home-based model. And Zooming has become, boy, do I wish I bought some stock in that company. Zoom is now just, it's a tool that everybody uses. We use it socially, we use it for work. So you had asked me how I think things are changing, or how things have changed for me. I think that the whole world is shifting, and the whole world is changing. People are educating their children at home, and I think most people are struggling with that, but I think even more are realizing that there's really a huge advantage to having your children around, and they're having to work through the clunkiness of like balancing work, family life all the more, because the kids are there while they're trying to work. But once they work that out, I think there's some real potential there to respect your children and develop a deeper relationship with them by really devoting your time to them undisturbed when you're with them, because when you're working, you're asking them to give you that time. A lot of change. And I think, you know, and I have to put this in at some point, is that the sadness of the people lost, the lives lost, and the people who've lost lives, you know, family members and loved ones. It's too horrible to even think about, really. But all that being said, it's a reality. It's what it is. It wasn't, you know, it's not a war, and it's not sabotage of any sort. That's a virus. That's what viruses do, is they mutate and they infect and they take lives. And that being said, this is our reality for now, and it's going to run its course. And, you know, and we're going to come out on the other end, and hopefully we will have spent a lot of time evaluating our lives and deciding what was working and what wasn't, and really come out better on the other end, those who survive.
Yeah. It is scary. And in this, you know, with this, the fact that some of us are surviving and some of us just aren't, what would you say as a doctor and as someone who has been around the medical field a long time, and someone who's really looking at anti-aging, you know, and what that means, and how we can take care of ourselves? How do you take care of yourself, and what are some things that you would recommend, if you have any tips or tricks or ideas for people during this time? Because I know some of us who live in colder climates might end up being back in our homes again.
Absolutely. Well, we're stuck in our homes anyway up where I live.
Yeah.
It's cold and it's snowy. I bought snowshoes so I could get out. Things like that. So I'm glad you asked that question. I consider myself a pioneer of biohacking. Are you familiar with biohacking?
Yeah.
So I'll just share for the audience, in case there are those who don't know. It's making small changes in your life to improve the quality of your life and your health. To take it a step further, there's something called nutrigenomics, and that's using plants and plant products to achieve that goal. So I always tell people, I'll be 60 next month. I'll be 60 in November. I was born in 1960. And I always tell people I was a pioneer of biohacking and nutrigenomics. And the reason was that when I was 4 years old in 1965, pardon me, my older sister was diagnosed as diabetic, which in that day, pardon me, was a death sentence. It really was. It was an absolute terminal illness, and she wasn't expected to make it out of her teen years. But what it did for the family was we all had an opportunity to learn something that very few people did, and even now most people don't know because they don't want to know, is that food is medicine and it's also poison. And so I took a vow at 4. I called it the I don't do sick. Because if you spend your years with an older sister who you love in and out of hospitals, taking medication 4 times a day, and just this whole, you know, decline in her health, you decide that's not something you want. So in answer to your question, I think that what I've always practiced, and why I am an absolutely healthy, almost 60-year-old, I mean, I'm a competitive Peloton rider, and I do CrossFit, and I'm really fit. I'm not overweight. I'll show you my guns. And I don't take any medication, and I feel like a 20-year-old, honestly. I sleep great. I wake up great. I like just fabulous. Is that I've always been aware that what I put in my body has an impact. So I was acutely aware, even that I was like a little bit on the hypoglycemic side, even as a child. So I avoided pancakes in the morning. I didn't not make a connection. I wasn't oblivious. I could never eat McDonald's or any of that kind of food because I didn't feel good when I did. So I would suggest recognizing, doing some research about what it takes to really put your body in a place that it will be the healing machine that it is, because it is. I always tell patients that it's not where did you get something or another, it's why did you succumb to it? Because we are so complex. The checks and balances in the body are so phenomenal that we only get sick if something fails to recognize and protect us from it. So, you know, even your genetics, the idea of epigenetics, that we don't have to express even the negative genes that we were given growing up. We only do it when epigenetically, when in our lifestyle, we don't do things so that they will be suppressed. So kind of talking maybe a little bit more advanced and confusing than I should. I guess the summary of what I'd like to say is that when you put good things in your body and you keep it nourished right and you don't bombard it with toxins and you address your health at a cellular level with the technology that I introduce and that I promote, I think that you keep your body ready to recognize and protect you from any illness, for the most part. Now, of course, with a virus, which is novel, which means we've never seen, which means we have no immunity to it, right? The body's never been able to mount a response to then have a big enough response to protect us that second time, the third and fourth and fifth. In that case, it really isn't a matter of improving your immunity, but it is a matter of having all your other organ systems as healthy and stable as possible so that you suffer the least damage. And I think attitude is almost as, and exercise, I'm passionate about exercise, but attitude I think is really, really important. I think that the body feeds on fear and it definitely lowers our defenses, and negativity is, you know, it is a terrible influence on your physical well-being, which is why there's something called psychosomatic illness. It's not that it's in your head, there's nothing wrong with you. It's something that's wrong with you that came from your head. So I think that someone would do very well to learn a little bit about some methods of getting massage and various emotional freedom techniques like tapping and meditation. It's not for the woo-woo. It's to reduce stress and to allow your body to function like the amazing machine that it is.
Yeah, that's just beautiful. And it's amazing that you don't look 60 at all. I wouldn't believe you when you said that. That's yeah, wow.
Well, that's why I say it. If I did, I'd tell you I was 80. So you say, oh, you don't look 80.
We don't want to talk about being 80 yet, though, right?
No, definitely not.
Not yet. Someday we'll get there, but just not yet.
God willing. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, for real. So, I really only have one last question. So it's really the most important question. How can I serve you?
How can you serve me with your company?
With anything.
Well, what you're doing right here is very helpful. I do appreciate the opportunity to give a little bit about my background and why I feel as strongly as I do about what I'm currently doing, not only in podiatry, but with my technology. And if anyone's noticed that I've been vague, that's by design. And it's not to get you to call me, although that would be great. This is a non-FDA approved supplement. So when the FDA puts a company through the rigors, where you can then call your product a drug and you can market it and make a connection to medical conditions. When it is a supplement, no. So the vagueness in what I share is that the reason I'm vague is because it does make every cell in the body healthier. It reduces oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days and continues from there. It has extended the lifespan of mice by 7%. All these studies that were done by independent parties have proven that this had a huge impact on health and all the challenges that come when you don't address this aspect of aging. But so I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share something about this. And because my goal is to help as many people as possible with this product and in any other way I can. I mean, that's certainly the question that I ask is, how can I help you? I'm the caregiver here.
Right. Well, sometimes we get to turn the tables on our caregivers because our caregivers need support also. So, Joan, tell the audience how they can find you, how they can get a hold of you, what they can do to reach you.
Great. I would love to do that. Thank you. Well, my name is, and I'll spell it because Tekula is meaningless until you've seen it in print. Joan Tekula, Tekula. And they can email me at joantekula@gmail.com. So that's JOANTEKULA@gmail.com. And, or even text me preferably. I am in Eastern time zone, 203-264-6664. And I am looking for people who, do care for the health, believe in alternatives, have done all the right things. We're unaware that this is the biggest health problem that we all suffer from and would like to improve even further. But I'm also looking for others to champion this product alongside of me. So, if you have any interest in learning how we can help people and make some money as well, by all means, reach out to me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time, Joan. I appreciate you. And we'll be in touch and stay safe for sure.
Same to you. Thank you so much, Monica. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thank you.